happy September. It's time to talk about what I'm going to be reading this month, and if you were here last month, you won't be too surprised to hear that I'm continuing my crusade against my physical TBR. Hi, hello, welcome in. I'm Jerica, and I'm an editor, writer, and all-around content creator. Over the next few months, I am aiming to get my physical TBR down to 0. It's not an awfully long list, but I really only read 2 to 3 books every month, so it's enough. In case you weren't here last month, a very quick description of what is on my TBR is required reading that I never read, required reading that I forget if I read, and a few other books that have been on my shelf for a decade or more. During August, I read The Unbearable Lightness of Being by Milan Kundera and Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky, or rather, I'm currently reading still since I'm obviously recording this a little bit before the month ends. And then a couple of short stories from Dubliners by James Joyce. And of course, I will talk about those, but I'm going to do them in a separate video of my August reading wrap-up. You may recall that I had 2 books kind of on the back burner because I feel like with this physical TBR, there's a high likelihood of me DNFing books. So because I didn't DNF anything, or haven't yet, I don't think I'm going to, I am really enjoying this book. Because I haven't DNF'd anything, those are just going to become my TBR for this month. But of course, I have to have a couple in the wings because, again, there's a high likelihood, and I think an even higher likelihood of not finishing books this month, and I'll get into why. I do think I'm going to keep Dubliners as my short stories collection or anthology of the month, though. This one, of course, is a collection. So this month, I'm going to be reading To the Lighthouse by Virginia Woolf, As I Lay Dying by William Faulkner, which are the 2 books that were on my In the Wings list last month. And then I'm adding on Pale Fire by Vladimir Nabokov and The Road by Cormac McCarthy. So the main reason that I think I have a higher likelihood of DNFing or DNRRing books this month is because 3 out of the 4 I have definitely read and just don't remember very well. One of them I remember a bit more and I kind of want to reread. We'll talk about that. And then the 4th one is one that I have previously DNF'd, but I don't remember why I DNF'd it. So let's talk about which ones are which. So the first one is To the Lighthouse by Virginia Woolf. I will read you the thing and then we'll talk about it. To the Lighthouse is at once a vivid impressionist depiction of a family holiday and a meditation on marriage, on parenthood and childhood, on grief, tyranny, and bitterness. Its use of stream of consciousness, reminiscence, and shifting perspectives gives the novel an intimate, poetic essence, and at the time of publication, in 1927, it represented an utter rejection of Victorian and Edwardian literary values. Virginia Woolf saw the novel as an elegy to her own parents, and in her diary she wrote, "I used to think of him, father, and mother daily, but writing The Lighthouse laid them in my mind." Okay, so, there are a few, so this is one of the 2 books that I have definitely read. I remember reading it, but I don't, remember how it made me feel. I don't really remember the plot. And I think part of that is because I did read it for school, so I was kind of reading it, just to find quotes to back up arguments kind of thing. I wasn't reading it, I was analyzing it. And while I do enjoy a little bit of analysis, while I read, there is a difference coming at it, for the purposes of analyzing versus the purposes of reading and just being an analytic person when it comes to words. But I am interested in stream of consciousness because weirdly, it's something that I really struggle with. I don't know if it's because there's constantly just so much going on in my mind that it's impossible to pick a stream of consciousness. Does that make sense? Does anybody else feel that way? Because I remember we were talking about stream of consciousness in this English course, and, the professor was like, okay, let everybody like take 10 minutes to just like write stream of consciousness, and I struggled so hard. So I kind of want to, like, while I want to try to read this, like read the way that I read for pleasure, but I also do want to kind of pay attention to how stream of consciousness works and like how that affects the reader, I suppose. Yeah. I also do think that because you're gonna hear me say this probably in every video that's talking about books and like what I like about books, is that just like the human condition and like relationships between people and how those things happen. Obviously those exist in all books, but ones that really focus on the relationships and the human condition are like just really interesting to me. And so this idea that we're kind of looking at family from a bunch of different perspectives and the way they see each other and their different types of relationships, I think will be really interesting, or, you know, was really interesting when I read it the first time. So basically, I'm going to read this, and if it like starts to come back to me, I will probably DNRR unless it feels like something that I really want to finish, which it might be. Kind of the same rule that I said last time, because in theory I had read The Unbearable Lightness of Being, but I'm pretty sure I didn't. It didn't come back to me in any way. Well, it's a good book though, so I guess wait and hear about my thoughts on it. So the next one is As I Lay Dying by William Faulkner. I think there's some similarities in this, but I'll read the back and then we'll discuss, or I guess I'll talk at you, but discuss with me in the comments. As I Lay Dying is Faulkner's harrowing account of the Bundren family's odyssey across the Mississippi countryside to bury Addie, their wife and mother. Narrated in turn by each of the family members, including Addie herself, as well as others in the community, the novel ranges in mood from dark comedy to the deepest pathos. So yeah, there's obviously some similarities here, being that we are looking at a bunch of different relationships, and I think this one is particularly interesting because it is looking at everybody's relationship with Addie, or in theory, that's what's going on. Look, he's just laying down, Iggy. It'll be okay. He's allowed to be within a few feet of you. You're being very grumpy today. But kind of the same rules for this one, because I know that I read this one and I just don't remember it or how it made me feel or anything like that. I do want to read it again because basically for both of these books, the only thing that I remember is that I didn't hate them. I just don't remember anything else, and so I'd like to read them again, or like start reading them again, and if they're just not doing it for me, not like waste my time. It's totally okay to not finish books you start. I'd say especially books that you've read before, because maybe there's a reason that I don't remember them very well. Maybe I don't remember them because I didn't actually enjoy them. There was nothing special about them. So we'll see. So now we're getting into books that I didn't talk about last month. Pale Fire by Vladimir Nabokov. Nabokov? I don't know. I always want to switch up the vowels in it, so I feel like I say it wrong no matter how I say it. Read it. We'll talk about it. In Pale Fire, Nabokov offers a cornucopia of deceptive pleasures. A 999-line poem by the reclusive genius John Shade, an adoring foreword and commentary by Shade's self-styled Boswell, Dr. Charles Kinbote. A darkly comic novel of suspense, literary idolatry, and one-upmanship and political intrigue. One of the 20th century's master... Oh, that's just about him. So this one, I feel like I probably... This is the one that I previously DNF'd. And I feel like I DNF'd it because it's... While I love structures that are different and unique. And I've read quite a few books recently that kind of have like a non-standard or unique structure in some way, shape, or form, or there's something about the structure that like I found really interesting. The structure of this one is very weird, and I'm not even sure I understand. Because there's the foreword, and then there's a poem. A very long poem, obviously. And then I'd say like the majority of the book is commentary on that poem. But the back says that there's like this novel, a darkly comic novel of suspense, literary idolatry and one-upmanship and political intrigue. And so, like, is the commentary the novel? Hi buddy. Thank you for screaming right into the mic. I don't know what's happening right now. Hi, you can sit down in my lap if you want. I'll even pet you while I talk. So I do want to try this one again, but I do feel like I DNF'd it because I was like, I don't want to read a poem when I'm trying to read a novel. And I know that there are novels in verse. I've never read one, but I know that that's a thing that exists. And I'm not against poetry at all. I do enjoy poetry. I don't really read poetry a whole lot, though. It's not something that, like, I'm particularly drawn to. Like, if somebody's like, oh, like, I read this awesome poem and I think you should read it, I'll read that kind of thing. And I do like to write poetry, and, you know, I think if you want to write it, you should read it, and that goes for, like, everything. But, like, I'm not... Just, like, I just sometimes write poetry, or, like, I've written poetry for assignments and things like that and enjoyed it. It's just, like, it's not one of my great loves or anything like that. And so... And I do feel like reading poetry takes a very different amount of energy, is almost my issue with it, because I feel like there's so much more... there's so much more, like, reading into the meaning of it. And then I wonder, like, should I read it, like, as if I can't pet you, you're standing on my arms? I don't know what's happening. I wonder if I should read it, like, I don't know, like, I feel like it's just going to take extra effort to read it, and I'm not against having to take extra effort. I just don't know if this is the right book to read in this style, but also, are there other books that have been written in this style? I really just don't know. I almost feel like I want to do some research on it. Like, have, like, instructions on how I should read it. Anyways, this one kind of feels different. The next one is The Road by Cormac McCarthy. This one doesn't feel like it fits in with any of the other ones that I've read as part of this TBR 0. And weirdly, I'm pretty sure I read this one in high school. I'm pretty sure I read this in grade 12. So this is probably, like, the oldest rereading that I'm doing as part of these, as part of this TBR 0. And I realize that it sounds kind of weird that I'm putting books that I've read on a TBR, but there are a lot of, there are books that there's a portion of my life where I read some books, did not take the books into my brain, and so it feels like I haven't read them. Kind of like the first two in the list this month. Those are my thoughts. I didn't read the back of this. I was doing so well. Here we go. A father and his son walk alone through burned America. Nothing moves in the ravaged landscape save the ash on the wind. It is cold enough to crack stones, and when the snow falls, it is gray. The sky is dark. Their destination is the coast, although they don't know what, if anything, awaits them there. They have nothing. They have nothing, just a pistol to defend themselves against the lawless bands that stalk the road, the clothes they are wearing, a cart of scavenged food, and each other. The Road is the profoundly moving story of a journey. It boldly imagines a future in which no hope remains, but in which the father and his son, each the other's world entire, are sustained by love. Awesome in the totality of its vision, The Road is an unflinching meditation on the worst and the best that we are capable of. Ultimate destructiveness, desperate tenacity, the tenderness that keeps two people alive in the face of total devastation. But this one is one that, like, I really want to reread, because I think I enjoyed the book, and then it's been made into a movie. And maybe we don't do that. I almost want to, like, read the book and then watch the movie in quick succession. I want to do that with a couple of books, but I'd rather do it with books and movies that I've not read or seen. That way I'm kind of, like, coming at it from, like, a blank slate for both of them. And I think videos on that would be really cool. Obviously, I have read this and watched the movie before, so this would be a very different one. Just because I already have, like, some preconceived notions about it, but I do want to reread this one. However, if I don't read it this month, which is really a 50-50, because I don't know what of these books I'm actually going to finish. It will have to go back on the shelf for a while, because I already have my October list picked out, and it's none of these. So if I don't get through these, they go back on the shelf, and they're gonna wait, because, of course, this is kind of leaning into the type of book that I will be reading in October, which I'm sure will not come as a surprise. That I'm gonna be reading, like, horror books, but they're all horror books that are from my physical TBR. I did not buy any new books. I just already had some. So it may not be clear at this point, but I've definitely talked about it, but based on the books that I've read, it may not be super clear, but I love post-apocalypse. I love, like, peri-apocalypse during the apocalypse. Also, excruciatingly past apocalypse. Probably number one book right now is something that is, like, world comes to an end, technically, by zombie, and somebody cut me at some point. Was that you? And then we're like 50 years in the future or something like that. That's really cool too. But post-apocalypse, particularly zombies, but any sort of post-apocalypse I find really interesting. This is one that I feel like people don't do very often. I assume that this is technically actually climate apocalypse, because the world has been burned. I don't believe it's nuclear, though. I do believe it's just, like, fire, because, like, I don't remember there being anything, like, with radiation, so it could be war, it could be just, like, climate fire. I don't really recall, or maybe they never answer it. Yeah, I do want to do that. I'm gonna see if I can watch the movie, or watch the movie somewhere. But I did read the book before I watched the movie the first time, and I think I remember them being a little bit different, but enjoying both of them, so I'm not really sure about that. But, if I find the movie somewhere, I don't know where it's currently streaming and what I have access, like, and if it's on something that I have access to without spending more money. If I can do that, that will definitely be the way that I do the book review. Iggy, you hit buttons, my dude. Okay, that's my list. Now that I've read the description of that one after talking about it. So that's the list. Tell me what you're reading this month. Also tell me what you got up to last month if you want to, although I will be doing a wrap-up, so if you'd rather save that for when we're talking about what I finished this month, feel free. Keep your eyes peeled for August's wrap-up. Like I said, I'll talk a little bit about the books and the short stories that I read. as well as a seasonal wrap-up, which is going to be more than just reading. I will talk about what my favorite books of this season were, but also we'll talk about what kind of writing I've gotten up to, a little bit of just life stuff. Yeah, it's going to be life, business, reading, writing, and other media consumption. I'll talk about like the shows and movies and stuff that I thought were really good this month. Basically, it's going to be like this is season. It's going to be like my favorites of the season and anything big that happened. Like for me, business, and just like my personal writing. Of course, for October, we will be reading horrors, like I said. So, if horror is your jam, definitely stick around for that in October. For all of these things, make sure you subscribe, like, hit the notification bell, all of those things, so that you don't miss these things. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys had fun. I had a blast. Catch you next time. Bye! Happy September! Oh my god. The cats. The cats. Now I'm gonna make sure that my mic's actually picking up, because I didn't check that before. You wanna hang out in my lap? Make Canby jealous? No? You're just gonna walk in circles? Please don't sit on the keyboard.